Have you ever noticed this? Someone you've known for years, sharp as a tack, walking every day, full of stories and spark. Then one day something shifts. They're a little quieter, a little slower, not quite themselves, and before long it feels like they've faded. Most folks say, well, that's just old age, or maybe it's in their genes. But the truth, it's often something else. See, what really wears people down after 80 isn't always what you think. It's not just disease or luck or how many vitamins you take. It's something quieter, slower, easy to miss, and it lives in the spaces between our habits, our thoughts, and our hearts. Today, I want to share with you 5 surprising reasons, ones people rarely talk about, that quietly shorten life after 80. They don't come up at doctor's visits, they don't make headlines, but once you see them, you'll understand why so many older folks begin to fade. And more importantly, you'll see how to bring that light back. So wherever you are right now, just breathe. Settle in. This isn't a lecture, this is a conversation. From one heart to another. Let's begin. Number 1. The disappearing power of tiny human moments. Let me ask you something simple. Can you remember what you had for breakfast last Tuesday? Probably not. But I bet you remember the last time someone gave you a warm smile, or a neighbor waved from across the street, or the cashier at the grocery store made a little joke that got you laughing. Those moments might seem small, even forgettable. But they're not. They're what experts call microsocial interactions, tiny human exchanges that quietly hold up our days. A hello here, a nod there, a quick chat in the elevator. And believe it or not, they're powerful. They regulate your mood. They keep your brain's social wiring sharp. They remind your heart that you're still part of the living, breathing world. But here's the thing. After 80, these little threads start to fray. You stop going out as much. Maybe someone else picks up your groceries now. The sidewalks feel unsteady. Your hearing isn't what it used to be. And slowly, almost without noticing, the conversations fade. And something inside you begins to fade too. You're not sad, exactly. But something feels dimmer, quieter, a little less alive. Microsocial moments aren't just passing the time. They're messages to your nervous system that say, you matter. You belong. You're still here. I knew a man, Arthur, lived well into his 90s. Not because he ran marathons or ate kale for every meal, but because he had a rhythm. Every morning, he walked to the same cafe. He said good morning to the same 3 people. He waved at the same crossing guard. Rain or shine. It only took 5 minutes. But those 5 minutes were his lifeline. They gave shape to his day. They made him feel seen. They kept his mind alert and his spirit grounded. And when those little connections stay strong, so do we. So let me gently ask you, have those tiny hellos started to disappear from your life? Are you finding yourself talking less to strangers? Staying inside more? If so, it's time to welcome them back. Not with pressure, not with big plans. Just one small step. Say hello to the neighbor again. Strike up a little chat with the person bagging your groceries. Take that short walk, even if it's just down the block, and wave to someone. Because those tiny moments, they're not just pleasant, they're medicine for the soul. Number 2, caution that slowly becomes a cage. Let's be honest, being careful as we get older makes sense. You've earned that wisdom, you've lived through a lot, and when your knees ache or your balance feels a little off, it's only natural to start saying, maybe I shouldn't do that anymore. Maybe it started with something small, a slip on the stairs, a moment of dizziness, a scare that left you feeling shaken. So you stopped walking outside, stopped bending to reach the low shelf, stopped doing the things that felt just a little risky. And what does everyone say? You're just being smart. Better safe than sorry. But here's the quiet truth no one talks about. too much caution becomes a cage. And that cage, it doesn't just keep you safe, it keeps you still. And when movement stops, strength disappears, fast. Your muscles don't just sit and wait patiently. They shrink, they weaken, especially the deep ones, the ones in your core. These are the muscles that help you stand tall, get up from a chair, step confidently down a curb. And when they fade, your balance fades with them. Then your confidence, then your independence. I'll never forget Carter. He was 82 and sharp as a tack. Took evening walks every day, rain or shine. But one night it rained. He slipped. No broken bones, just a scare. So he stayed in the next day, then the day after that. Before long, the walk stopped, instead of shoes and sidewalks. It was the recliner and the TV. 6 months later, he'd lost 10 pounds of muscle. His legs felt like jelly. His doctor warned him, but the damage had already begun. Here's the thing, Walter didn't stop walking because he was weak. He became weak because he stopped walking. Now don't get me wrong, you should absolutely protect yourself. Use the cane, install the handrails, wear shoes that support you, clear your path of tripping hazards. But there's a difference between being safe and being scared. Fear whispers things like, just sit down, skip the walk today. You might fall, better not risk it. But here's what I want you to remember. Your body is not a machine that rests to stay strong. It's a garden. And if you don't tend it, it doesn't stay the same. It slowly withers. So ask yourself, have you stopped moving, not because you can't, but because you're afraid something might happen if you do? If the answer is yes, then gently, slowly, it's time to push back. Even if it's just a walk down the hallway. Even if it's stretching your arms while you sit. Even if it's standing up a little taller when you get out of bed. Because movement tells your body, I'm still needed. And your body listens. So don't give in to the fear. Move carefully. Move slowly. But whatever you do, keep moving. That's how you stay strong. That's how you stay alive. That's how you stay you. Number 3. Light lost, sleep disturbed. There's something inside you, quiet, steady, and wise. It doesn't make a sound, but it keeps time. It's your circadian rhythm. That's just a fancy name for your body's internal clock. It tells you when to wake up, when to feel alert, when to rest, and even how to heal. It's what keeps your sleep deep, your memory clear, and your mood steady. But here's the thing. After 80, that clock becomes a little more sensitive, a little easier to confuse. And one of the biggest things that throws it off? Light. Not just any light, the right kind, at the right time. See, your body relies on bright, natural light in the morning to know, hey, it's time to get going. And it relies on soft, dim light at night to say, it's time to wind down. But for many older adults, that rhythm gets flipped upside down. You start sleeping in a bit longer. You spend more time indoors. The curtains stay drawn. The sun barely touches your skin. Then, in the evening, the lights are on. The TV glows bright. Maybe the phone screen stays lit till midnight. And little by little, your body forgets what time it is. You start dozing off during the day. Then you lie awake at night, tossing and turning. You wake up groggy. You feel drained, like no amount of rest ever feels restful. And it doesn't just stop at sleep. When that rhythm is off, your mood takes a hit. Your immune system weakens. Your thinking gets fuzzy. You feel slower, heavier, not quite yourself. But here's the beautiful part. This can be gently restored. I remember Bella. She was 84 and sharp as a whip, but lately she'd been foggy. She was tired during the day. Her memory felt a little off. Her doctor didn't rush to prescribe anything. He asked her a simple question. When was the last time you sat by the window in the morning? So she gave it a try. Each morning she opened the blinds wide and sat near the sunlight for 20 minutes. No phone, no TV, just her, the light, and a warm cup of tea. Within 2 weeks, her energy came back, her sleep deepened, her thoughts felt clearer, her smile returned. And she didn't change anything big. She just gave her body the light it was craving. So if you've been staying inside more, if your curtains are usually drawn, if your nights are bright and your mornings are dim, it might be time to shift. Try stepping outside in the morning, even just for a few minutes. Let the sunlight hit your skin. Let your eyes soak in the day, and in the evening, dim the lights. Turn off the TV an hour before bed. Let your body slow down, because light isn't just for seeing, it's for healing. And when your rhythm comes back into balance, so do you. Number 4. Grief you never shared. By the time you reach your 80s, you've likely carried more loss than most people can imagine. Not just one, but many. A spouse, a lifelong friend, a sister, maybe even a child. And with each goodbye, something inside you shifts. But here's what no one really talks about. It's not just the loss itself that wears on the heart. It's the silence that follows it. You smile and say, "I'm doing fine." You keep yourself composed, because that's what strong people do, right? And maybe you've even heard people say, "Aren't you over that by now? You've had time to heal." So you keep the pain to yourself. Tuck it away. But friend, grief doesn't disappear just because we stop talking about it. It hides. And the body remembers. It shows up in your chest, tight and heavy, in the way your sleep won't come easily anymore. In the deep, quiet weariness that's hard to name. It's not just aging. It's your heart, carrying more than it was meant to carry alone. I remember Clinton. He was 86, bright, witty, and always polite. But something had changed. A year earlier, his wife of 60 years had passed. He didn't cry much. He said she wouldn't want me to dwell. Said he was okay. But slowly, he stopped going to the senior center, stopped eating as much, stopped calling friends. And soon, the sparkle in his eyes faded. He was still here, but not quite alive. Until one day, he told me a story. A memory about her laugh, how she used to throw her head back when she found something funny. And he laughed a little too. Then paused and cried for the first time in months. It wasn't dramatic. It was honest. And you know what? That moment was the beginning of him coming back to life. Because here's the truth. What we express can be healed. But what we suppress can quietly harm us. So if you've been carrying something heavy, if there's someone you miss, something you still ache for, please let your heart speak. You can write it in a journal, whisper it in a prayer, tell a trusted friend, or simply say their name out loud when the memories come. Grief isn't a sign of weakness, it's proof that you loved deeply, and your heart, it doesn't need to forget. It just needs room to feel. You don't have to carry it all alone anymore. Not today. Not ever. Number 5, the soft disappearance of purpose. It's not always the big life dreams that we lose as we age. More often, it's the small ones. Not the "what do I want to be someday" kind of dreams, but the simple reasons to rise each morning. Like the task you always did before breakfast, the call you made every Sunday, the person who used to count on you to show up. When those quiet purposes fade, so do the rhythms that gave your life shape. And it doesn't usually happen all at once. It's slow. Maybe your church group stopped meeting, maybe your weekly lunch with friends ended, maybe family visits became fewer and farther between. And before long, the days start blending together, quiet, unanchored. You find yourself asking, what day is it again? Or even more deeply, why does it matter? But here's the gentle truth I want to remind you of. Purpose doesn't have to be big. It doesn't have to change the world. It just has to give your day meaning. Callista knew that. She was 88, lived alone, didn't have a long to-do list or a calendar full of events. But every Monday she wrote postcards to people in her church who couldn't get out anymore. Every Thursday she made soup and froze it for a local shelter. And every afternoon she sat at her front window at 4 p.m. sharp to wave at the neighborhood kids walking home from school. She knew their names. They knew hers. And that little wave, that small exchange, it gave her day shape, it gave her heart rhythm, and it kept her spirit alive. You see, the body listens to the mind, and when the mind says we're not needed anymore, the body starts to slow down and wait. But when you have a reason, any reason, to keep showing up, to keep reaching out, to keep moving forward, your whole system switches back on. So if your days have started to feel a little shapeless, a little too quiet, find one small anchor. Water a plant each morning. Call someone you care about just to say hello. Sweep the porch. Write a letter. Feed the birds. Let your body and mind remember you still have a reason to rise. Because purpose, even in its tiniest form, is fuel. It tells your heart, keep going. You still matter, and you do. You really do. Life rarely fades all at once. It slips away, quietly. Not because of one big moment, but through the slow loss of movement, light, purpose, expression, and connection. But here's the beautiful part. What slips away slowly can return just the same, with one small walk, one heartfelt conversation, one wave to a neighbor, one morning in the sun. These gentle actions whisper to your body, I'm still here. I still matter. So let me ask you, my friend, which of these 5 touched something inside you today? And more importantly, what small step will you take to honor that? Because aging isn't just about how long we live, it's about how fully we live the years we're given. And you, yes, you still have so much life left to live. If this video brought you comfort, insight, or a quiet moment of truth, please like, share, and subscribe to help others find this gentle space too. And in the comments below, tell us, what's one small thing you'll do today to nourish your spirit? Until next time, this is Elderly Golden Advice, walking beside you with wisdom, warmth, and care.